Boys and girls, welcome to the Raceface.Pro GT3 iRacing Sprint Series, proudly brought to you by Red Star Raceway, going and sponsoring this season, Season 2 of the GT3 Sprint Series. Got to say, absolutely incredible. Glad to have you all here. It's going to be a monstrous season full of racing. And already, I've got to give a shout out to Leandro Lito, saying, "Go Dimmy," was the first comment to come out from our virtual grandstands, and that was nearly half an hour ago. They're going and putting a let's go. So absolutely well done there. Project JR also going and shouting out for a new team on the block in iRacing here at Raceface.Pro. Not a new team to iRacing. They've been around for quite some time. So we're going to be taking a look at some of the action as our drivers make their way out for qualifying, and a couple of cars are out currently on the track. We're going to try and get our timing, which seems to have dropped out for some explicit reason. But let's start off with, there is Van Rensburg out on the track. There's Jean Van Rensburg, followed by Troy Dolenschik. Then Wolfgang Weiss running a little bit further down. Florian Kleiner, one of our new drivers. Niall Bullion, part of the Logistical Nightmare Racing, coming in, joining in for a bit of fun. Old Niall, coming from the world of ACC. Rene Disner, who's a new driver to the field. Raymond Duggan, Ricardo Rivera, Werner Swart, Janneman Price out on track. Sean Stratham, Yaz Samai, Jeff Hancox is making his way around the circuit. Luke Lucchesi, Paul Herber out on the track. Jan Spalmers, Mark Heron, Yuri Umpi Swart, Peter Meyer, Ryan Ottens, Luca Lugovic, Alex Moore and Willem Buerta, and we cannot forget Noah Hendricks is parked in the pits currently, but as our drivers make their way around the track, let's see if we can try and get some of this live timing to come back to us, because it's a little bit peculiar that it's disappeared in some spectacular fashion. So we'll try and get that up and going as quick as possible. As we do see a couple of times coming out on the board. Troy Dolenschik currently out in first place with Sean Stratham running in second place. Luke Lucchesi running in third. As just going to try and get our live timing back up and going for some reason. Once again, do apologize for our live timing giving a little bit of an issue at current. We'll do our best to pull this back into check as fast as we can. So Sean Stratham making his way around, currently lying in second place. Luke Lucchesi running in third. Wolfgang Weiss currently running in fourth place. So we'll just try. Unfortunately, it looks like our live timing giving a bit of an issue at the moment. So we'll try and get this up and going as quick as we can, as we do have some racing ongoing. Come on, SDK. Time for you to button up those bridges and get going once again. From just working to just dropping out. So we will do what we can to try and get that up and going. Liveries are looking absolutely incredible though, and our drivers needing to really put on a show now that they've got some awesome liveries out on the track. Luke Lucchesi running in third place with Sean Stratham currently in second. Troy Dolenschik currently out in first as it stands. So our current top running Troy Dolenschik hoping that he can get a little bit more pace underneath him to hold his lap time of 1:24.64. Then Sean Stratham running in second place. Luke Lucchesi running in third. We're going to actually ask our team to send through the live timing link to everyone out on the chat. It's in the virtual grandstand, so you can tune in and see your favorite drivers' lap times. Once again, a bit of an odd one that our dear friend not working the way it's intended to. So let's see if we can try and get that up and going as we see cars coming to a stop out on track. So let's see if we can try and get this up and going as quick as we can. As we do have Luke Lucchesi going and sorting himself out. We inexplicably having difficulties once again. And now it's blocked out all that. Okay. So, Troy Donalczyk still out on going and making his way on the circuit. We have got Yuri Swart in the brand new McLaren 720S Evo that's just dropped today and is making his way through. Then we have got Jean van Rensburg going and making a little bit more pace underneath him. Noah Hendricks still trying to put a time in. Willem Buerta trailing behind the back as well. So we trying to see what's going on. Okay, frustrating for our live timing software to be acting up the way it is right at current. So we'll try and get that up and going as we move on to our race. Once again, apologies for the live timing being a bit out of place at the moment. But let's go through our running order just to keep it in check. See what we can do to try and make things work up again. All right, Troy Donalczyk will be starting out in first place with Sean Stradham in second place. Then we have got Luke Lucchesi, Ryan Ottens, Wolfgang Weiss running in fifth, sixth, Yuri Swart looking to make his way through the field. Sean van Rensburg in seventh, eighth is Niall Bullion, along with Peter Meyer in ninth, 10th, Ricardo Rivera, Alex Moore, Werner Swart, Paul Herber, Renier Discern going and running down. Along with Jan Sparmers in 15th. 16th is Florian Klenner, Janeman Price, Yas Samai, Luka Logovic, Raymond Duggan, Jeff Hancock, Noah Hendricks, Mark Heron, and Willem Buerta rounding out our field here tonight as our drivers line themselves up, getting ready to go and hoping to get themselves out on track. Going to be a full rolling start here at Indianapolis. This weekend is going to be the iRacing Indy. They're going to be fighting their way out. And for 6 hours, going to be the Indy, which is always great to see. So as our cars line up on the line, we will get ready to rock and roll here tonight as they all take their way off the line, looking to get going. Going to be some exciting times here tonight for our drivers. We have got two splits. This is the Pro split that are out on track at the moment, and we do have our Pro-Am running in a second server. So for the first time, and we are going and splitting the servers to keep our Pro and Pro-Am drivers in their own race, so don't trip over each other too much. Troy Donalczyk, Sean Stradham. Sean going and lining himself up against Troy Donalczyk in second place. So watch that Audi R8 go and get the run. Luke Lucchese also jumping into an Audi R8, hoping that that's going to be the winning combo for the drivers. So we'll have to keep an eye out on all the action. Hopefully, there we go. Bit of sound coming in as well. Looks like we've got more than enough technical difficulties happening out on the track. Tim working frantic behind the scenes, try and get everything up and going. Bit of a weird one that we're having at the moment. For our live timing. So, seems like everything going and being fun here tonight. Okay, well, we'll do it with what we can at the moment. We'll try and give you a bit of a breakdown of the standings as they go around. Let's make a plan here to give some standings at least for our racing. Once again, a bit of an odd one, but now we're going to make one. As our drivers make their way around, Troy Dolenchik out in first place, with Sean Stratham in second place. Even looks like Race Labs going and battling. This is the first of two heats, ladies and gentlemen, that will be racing here tonight. And as our drivers round their way back onto the main straight, they're going to be waiting for the green orders. Troy Dolenchik out in first place, Sean Stratham in second place, and we are green flag racing. So out towards the front, Troy Dolenchik taking off the jump. You're getting into a defensive position, middle of the circuit. Sean Stratham walking to the wall, and take a look at Luke Lucchese. Going to go for the inside line, looking possibly 3 wide into turn 1. Second guesses that he's going to line himself up next to Sean Stratham as they make their way through. Hard on the brakes, trying to carry a little bit more momentum as our drivers push themselves a little bit harder, making their way around the circuit. Troy Dolenchik still standing and hoping that he can really keep on the drive as he tries to keep on the gas at the moment. Troy Dolenchik battling it out. Oh, thank heavens. It came up. It's alive. It's alive. Here we go. Thank you very much. Just needed to find itself towards itself. So, Troy Dolenchik out in first place. Luke Lucchese in second, chasing him down. Wolfgang Weiss going and chasing him down, battling it out. And we do have an accident behind. It does look like that might have been a couple of people. Peter Meyer getting involved in that one. Unfortunately, turned around. Florian getting caught out as well. So we did have a couple of cars. Peter Meyer was one. It looks like Werner Swart may have been another. So back out towards the sharp end of the field. First, second, and third starting to run away from one another. As we do see Luke Lucchese and Wolfgang Weiss going and fighting it out. They're trying to improve their times along with trying to snap away from the field. Wolfgang dealing with Sean Stratham, now battling out behind him. John van Rensburg is going to give him a good chase down into the turn 1, but Rivio Rivera stuck on the inside, around the outside with his McLaren, has Alex Moore trying to get past him. Alex, part of the logistical nightmare racing, hunting down that inside line, going to try and go for it again, just trying to lift the likes of Alex off that apex, but now it's a double. It's a right and left. You've got to keep it absolutely planted. Paul Gerber, though, gets a phenomenal drive. He lines up side by side with the likes of Alex Moore. Gets past him. And now Niall having to also just stay onto the back, doing everything he can to hopefully close up against Alex Moore as quick as possible. So out in the front, Troy Dolenchik just keeping the gap to Luke Lucchese. Wolfgang Weiss trying to get everything he can to battle it out as our drivers make their way through, hoping that they can stand on top of the charts at the moment. Going to be a difficult one. Everyone hunting down for that top spot. Trying to score some early points to make it all work here tonight. And especially for the opening of the championship. Luke Lucchese, though, getting a monster drive. Trying to claw down the gap to the likes of Troy Dolenchik, but just can't get it under braking. And we do see a bit of a problem going on for Jan Price of the team heap together. Running out a little bit wide. Tries to bring it back to Audi, snapping underneath him. And just having unfortunate contact there from the RDSA driver, the 123 car. And that, unfortunately, has dropped them both out of the running order. Not ideal circumstances. So, Jan Price sitting with a bit of damage on his door. And we've got an RDSA stuck with a bit of damage on his car. So that, unfortunately, puts Yuri Umpi-Swart down the order. Wolfgang Weiss all over the back of Luke Lucchese as he tries to make up a little bit of time, hoping to claw back at him as they fight their way through. Hard on the brakes, bringing it back into the infield. Lines up for the inside line. Couldn't quite get it done. Has to bail out a little bit as Wolfgang trying to get onto the back of Luke Lucchese as quick as possible. Luke Lucchese so far has put in the fastest lap times of the race, but is dealing with the likes of Troy Dolenchik running away. A little bit behind Sean Stradham, lining himself up with Jean van Rensburg. Van Rensburg gets the drive in the Ferrari, getting past, no problems at all. Climbs on the anchors and turns the 296 Ferrari in ahead of the Audi R8 Evo of Sean Stradham. A little bit further back, Ricardo Rivera going and battling out with the new McLaren. Remember, he's got the least amount of practice time in the car. Paul Herber going in, just missing, as we do see that looks to be Alex Moore, who had the tail snap out underneath him, getting past. Niall gets around and says, okay, no problem, I'm up into the top 8. Let's keep going. Rene going and battling it out side by side with Jan Sparmers, who's going to lock it in on the inside. Going to try and go late on the anchors here. Jan Sparmers has his nose, unfortunately, turned across and couldn't quite get past Rene right there. So Rene going and accelerating away. Yas and Mai trying to chase him down in the asymmetric Audi R8. And then right behind him, we got Jeff Hancock, who's sporting a little bit of damage on his car. So he's going to have to try and pull that back as quick as possible. Mark Heron looking for the inside line. Going to go and try and get past. Does so. No too much issues there, but does fall off the track. Out of sympathy with Jeff Hancock. Comes across. Jeff trying to make up a little bit of time after losing out to Noah Hendricks. And nearly had Luca get round him as well. So Jeff, feeling the pressure at this point, needs to find that little bit more gain to try and close up the gap as quick as possible. He's got big aero damage to the front of the car. But let's go remind you of the rules at hand, ladies and gentlemen. And that is going to be, you have to get one pit stop in. You have to change all 4 tires, as we do see a very close Luca onto the back of Jeff. And also Flora getting past the likes of Werner Swart. Peter Meyer getting past that Mustang as well. Werner Swart slipping down the order, trying to get a little bit more pace underneath him. And then Raymond Duggan falling a little bit behind. So our drivers needing to really figure out how they can stretch that gap just a little bit more. But let's head up back towards the sharp end of the field, because Troy Dolenchik is only keeping a slight lead over Luke Lucchese, running in second place. And Luke Lucchese is not backing down from this fight. Wolfgang Weiss has dropped off the train. Jean van Rensburg is now onto the back of Jan Price just ahead of him. So, sorry, that was Wolfgang that's ahead of him. So Jean van Rensburg trying to get a little bit more time. He sees Wolfgang just ahead of him. The Porsche starting to run away. Sean Stradham going and tailing behind. Ricardo Rivera in 6th. Paul Herber currently running in 7th. 8th place, Niall Bouillon chasing down Rene, going and making his way through. Jan Price into the pits once more to try and get that car sorted out. That is going to promote a couple of drivers up, such as Ryan Ottens into 22nd. Jans Palmers, yes, and Mike going to go later on the brakes. Mark Heron clearly getting a collision in the back as Noah Hendricks outbraked himself. Jeff Hancock's going and getting a pass there, and Luka Logovic, Peter Meyer also getting a free pass as Noah Hendricks was a little bit too deep into the corner, got a little bit too excited and carried away and lost out that little bit more drive. Noah Hendricks now chasing down, dealing with the likes of Werner Swart, who has just lost out to Florian Killer, who's gotten past. So Florian Killer trying hope a little bit more as we do see Jeff Hancock going side by side. Is he going to get the pass done? Very, very close, but suddenly Peter Meyer out of nowhere is coming fighting him. Jeff Hancock's over the dirt to just try and keep his position. That is going to hurt his time. It's going to put a little bit of dirt on those tires. Peter Meyer's going to capitalize on this one. Goes up on the inside, late on the anchors, turns it in, and gets a pass hooked in just ahead of Jeff Hancock. So Jeff trying to come back at him. Suddenly Noah Hendricks is up on the inside. Jeff Hancock stuck on the outside. He's going to lose out. And now also Florian's going to try and come past. Jeff Hancock is slipping down the field. That Porsche has become an absolute menace to deal with. And he is slowly slipping down, slowly running Florian closer to the pit wall, hoping that that's going to back out. But the AMG's got some legs over the Porsche. How late can Jeff go on the brakes as they go side by side? Jeff Hancock's trying everything he can, does get past, but outbrakes himself again and loses out 1, 2, and nearly 3 positions on the exit. Werner Swart's going to hang in with the Mustang, and suddenly Jeff Hancock's goes down the order once more. Absolutely getting eaten up there and having to just deal with it. Back up to 9th place. Rene dealing with Jans Palmers. Jans Palmers locks it on the inside, gets a pass done. Both in 296 Ferraris that are quite potent around this track, becoming a fan favorite for the Indianapolis, and the BOP running in favor of the Ferraris at the moment. But yes, Samai is going to be chasing him down. A couple of cars doing their pit stops. Raymond Duggan doing his pit stop to try and get it over and done with. And remember, they have to change 4 tires on their run. So let's see how that's going to work out for them. So you see Yasamai all over the back of Renier at the moment, trying to close up that gap as quick as possible. Can't quite get it done. Back up to the sharp end of the field. Troy Dolenchik dealing with Luke Lucchese now. Luke going a little bit more on the attack, seeming a bit more comfortable on the passes, hoping they can really keep it together. The Audi is an absolute brute around this track. Very well balanced compared to the Lamborghini. The Lamborghini does get a little bit unsteady, has a little bit of lift-off oversteer to it, something you've got to be well aware of, where the Audi doesn't seem to have that issue compared. So Luke Lucchese gonna have to get brave on the brakes here. Dives up on the inside. Can he carry the momentum? The Lamborghini's gonna have the straight line speed. If the likes of Troy Dolenchik can carry on the momentum, he does so. Not having too much of an issue there. Luke Lucchese losing out a bit of drive, and suddenly Wolfgang Weiss coming back at him, and the Porsche not backing down from the fight. Will be hoping to close down that order as quick as possible. Slamming onto the anchors, trying to bring the car in, looks for the inside line, couldn't get it all hooked in, and Luke Lucchese peels off into the pits, deciding that he's had enough there. That is Jan Price in the Audi, trying to chase up some time. So we do have a couple of liveries not pulling through, despite having trading paints reloaded. So Jean van Rensburg dealing with the likes of Sean Stradham coming after him. Sean Stradham's going to be in the toad, pulling himself along, hoping for maybe a look on the inside, a little bit too far back. Sean Stradham down 2 positions from where he started. Sees van Rensburg, tried to do a quick lunge, couldn't quite get it all hooked in. As we see Luke Lucchese and Jeff Hancock's into the pit, so they're both getting their pit stops done and dusted. Got to change all 4 tires and give it a quick refuel. Ricardo Rivera trying to keep ahead of Paul Herber. Niall all over the back of Paul Herber, trying to come back at him as quick as possible. Looks to the outside line, gonna probably switch towards the inside line. Couldn't quite get it all in, wasn't too comfortable with the Lamborghini's braking there. Paul Gerber, a little bit more comfortable on the Porsche. He has driven this car quite a bit compared to Niall in the Lamborghini. Niall recently started swapping over to the Lamborghini, hoping that just a little bit more pace, something newer than what they have been. Yes, am I dealing with the likes of Renier all over the back of him. So Renier's going to have to try and stand on the gas. The Ferrari going around the outside, unfortunately losing the gap. And now suddenly Yasemai gets a pass done, and his teammate starting to make up some time. Troy Dolenchik and Wolfgang Weiss pulling into the pits. That is going to promote the likes of Jean van Rensburg, Sean Stradham, and Ricardo Rivera to make up some time. Sean Stradham trying to close up onto the back of Jean van Rensburg, but he's just not as comfortable on the brakes. Renier and Luca pulling into the pits. Willem Buerta also diving into the pits to get it done and dusted. So the drivers going and switching around, doing everything they can side by side. Sean Stradham trying to go up on the inside of Jean van Rensburg as they fight it out for first place. These two have been all over the back of one another for quite some time. Keep an eye out though, they're going to have to try and work past Jan Price on the corners as well, as we see Sean Stradham really sending it in deep, trying everything he can at the moment to deal with the likes of Jean van Rensburg's defense at the moment. It's an absolute tremendous charge as they make their way through. So Sean Stradham carrying that logistical nightmare badge on the door. First time they have been here in Raceface for the iRacing with Jean van Rensburg, who has fought it out for the championship in the Pro-Ams, has really gotten his elbows into it. So let's see how van Rensburg is going to hold. Is he going to go for maybe a later pit stop than Sean Stradham, as these two still fight it out? One of our closest fights out on the track. Everyone else a little bit more split up. So we take an on look towards the crowd. Jan Price of the team heaped together now at the bottom of the field, lying in 24th position, just trying to keep it all together. And suddenly has our leaders all over the back of him. So van Rensburg really need to stand on the gas to get by and deal with Sean Stradham at the moment, but can't quite get the pace underneath him. Really having to slam his way around the track as our drivers carry on quite a bit of momentum, hoping that it's maybe just enough. Jean van Rensburg caught up to the back of Jan Price. Now, how's he going to work around? The Ferrari is going to have the legs in the straight line, but for how long can he just get on the gas? He's expecting Jan to just give it a quick lift to allow him to get by without losing too much time. But Sean Stradham is going to try and open up the door. You can see Jan Price onto the oval. Does go on the brakes a little bit earlier, allow the two drivers to get through, opening up the door, and these two continuing on their fight. A little bit further back, Wolfgang Weiss and Troy Dolenchik going and fighting it out. Remember, they have both done their mandatory pit stops. So has Luke Lucchese has done his pit stop. So our drivers have done their pit stops already. Now looking to try and carry that bit of momentum through on the carry round. And we can already see our top from first to 9th. They have yet to do a pit stop. We'll talk about that. Sean Stradham, Werner Swan, and Alex Moore immediately diving into the pits. But you can see Luke Lucchese, he pitted a little bit earlier. He pitted on lap 8. Is hoping to keep on the back of Wolfgang Weiss. That Porsche needs to carry a lot of momentum. And now they are on some serious pace to try and make it through. It is a very hot track, but we do have yellow flags for Peter Meyer. Let's go back and take a look. So this is Peter Meyer in the McLaren, trying to close up a little bit of time. Going to go late on the anchors and, oh, nearly into the back of one of the Chevs, and unfortunately clipping the wall on the process, so just outbraking himself. And suddenly, now a little bit further down than planned. So not ideal circumstances for Peter Meyer, as now our drivers need to pick up the pace and see where they can go. Going to be some hard work here to try and close up that distance. Sean van Rensburg, broken away from his fighting rival, needs to think about when he's going to get into the pits. As we do see Paul Gerber dives into the pits, that is going to promote Jan Sparmers up as quick as possible. Yasemai pulls into the pits. Mark Heron going to keep on going as he deals with trying to keep Noah Hendricks behind him. Noah Hendricks is still yet to do a pit stop. So as two more cars feed their way into the pits, we are now carrying on with the rest of the race. Mark Heron trying to keep his way, battling out with one of the back markers. And that is the number 5 going and make his way through. That is Yuri Swart, who's been one of our top contenders in the world of Raceface. Unfortunately, this time around, the McLaren not behaving and has to try and keep it all together. So let's see how he's going to be going and battling his way through. As our drivers fight their way around, Yuri Swart doing everything he can. Jean van Rensburg and Jan Sparmers keeping out and keeping on going. But in a net first place, might I add, is still these 3 that are battling it out. There's Troy Dolnchik, Wolfgang Weiss, and Luke Lucchese going to be stretching their legs just a little bit further, hoping that they can carry the pace on just a bit more up the road. Wolfgang Weiss not backing down from the fight, needs to carry on a lot of momentum to keep ahead of Luke Lucchese, who is putting a bit of quick work on him. And that Audi looking a lot more hooked up. Our top 4 still needing to do the pit stops, still getting some good times out and still battling it out. But as time starts to fade away, as we're starting in towards the final 10 minutes of the race, or 11 minutes of the race, Van Rensburg, Sparmers, Mark Heron and Noah Hendricks still needing to get their pit stops done and dusted. This is going to impact them further if they cannot get the drive. Niall onto the back of Alpha Esports driver, and a driver that we haven't seen for quite some time, Ryan Ottens, going and battling it out with LNR driver Niall Bullion. So Ryan Ottens has been one of our quicker drivers transitioning over to iRacing. He's got some serious pace underneath him, but let's see how far can he go at the moment. It's going to be a proper charge down to the wire. But Ryan Ottens dealing with Niall quite quickly. He's saying, look, I'm not going to back down from this fight. Still keeping to the Ferrari 296, which is a bit of an interesting one. I thought he would have changed over to the McLaren, as he does have some experience with the McLaren in Assetto Corsa Competizione. Willem Buerta onto the back of Jeff Hancock's. Jeff Hancock's now repaired after having a little bit of damage on his nose. And Willem Buerta also getting T-boning likes of Janneman Grace after having nowhere to go. Janneman going and spinning, and unfortunately Willem Buerta, snap oversteer coming from the Audi just as we were talking about him. Commentator's curse kicking in. Jean van Rensburg and Jan Sparmers pulling into the pit, so that is going to get them sorted out and allow Mark Heron and Noah Hendricks to keep up the drive. So Noah Hendricks is going to try and carry as much pace as possible, doesn't want to get caught out in any of the fights. And Mark Heron, who is now opening up that gap a little bit more, has no problem to keep the pace up. Troy Dolenchik gaining a bit of time, and Wolfgang Weiss and Luke Lucchese all over the back of one another, hard on the brakes. And Luke Lucchese tries to look for the inside line, couldn't quite get it all hooked in. He's trying once again to just force Wolfgang to come off that apex. Wolfgang a little bit more set together in through the infield over the likes of Current in the front, Troy Dolenchik. But Troy Dolenchik is not having to worry about what's behind him too much, as Wolfgang needing to do everything he can to try and stay ahead of Luke Lucchese. Battling his way through, couldn't quite get it all hitched in. Going late around the corners, battling it out. As our drivers make their way through, Weiss not backing down from the fight. Luke Lucchese constantly staying on the back of him. Looks to try and push for an inside line. Couldn't get it all under braking, but has closed up a dramatic gap to Weiss just ahead of him. Weiss now starting to feel that pressure, needs to get onto the throttle as quick as possible and really get away from the Audi R8. That is going to have the advantage now in the slipstream. And unfortunately, looks like they've lost track of Troy Dolenchik. Yellow flags, though, being kicked up for Jan Sparmers. Let's see if we can quickly take a rollback to see how that's gone on. So to Jan Sparmers, who was coming out of pit lane, tries to get himself going, and just on cold tires, loses it right across the nose of a couple of drivers. Just gets overly eager, and that has cost him out some serious time. Back up to our sharp end of the field, third, fourth, and fifth, as we still yet to see Mark Heron and Noah Hendricks go and get into the pits. But Wolfgang Weiss dealing with the likes of Luke Lucchesi at the moment, and Troy Dolenchik, who's just maintaining the gap ahead of him. So let's see if Wolfgang can carry the momentum through. He's a bit more set out towards the infield. Got to lay onto the gas. Luke Lucchesi is going to try and close up that gap as fast as possible. Can he get it? Under braking, though, as they battle their way through. It still looks like he's just maintaining enough under braking to get it ahead of Luke Lucchesi, who's trying to make his way through. Noah Hendricks and Mark Heron now into the pits. That means these three are going to be fighting it out for the top positions, first, second, and third, as they come across the line. Troy Dolenchik, Wolfgang Weiss, and Luke Lucchesi will absolutely be standing on the throttle now, and it does look like Ricardo Rivera and Sean Stratham are getting the positions, along with Jean van Rensburg. Niall Bouillon getting by, as we see Mark Heron and Noah Hendricks, who pulled a bit of a late game, unfortunately tumbling down the order as they make their way out of the pits. All drivers have now completed every single one of their pit stops, and now it is a race to get out and get going. But our top three are less than 0.3 of a second on one of another. Wolfgang tries to look for the inside line, couldn't quite get it all sorted, runs out wide. Luke Lucchesi trying to come back at him. Troy Dolenchik starting to feel pressure. Tires starting to wear out. It is really hot out on circuit. Cutting the circuit a little bit much there. And I think the incident point starting to rack up as our drivers battle their way through. Luke Lucchesi trying to come back at him as quick as possible, as he looks to try and go for the inside line. Late under braking, couldn't quite get it all hooked in. 5 minutes to go. It is all or nothing at this point. And while our drivers are doing 1 minute 25s, I expect about three more laps in this race before our drivers are going to be pulling into the pits. Now let's see who's got an underfueled is going to be the next question, because everyone's been calculating to the absolute minimum of what their fuel needs to be. Wolfgang Weiss trying to battle it out. Luke Lucchesi looks for the inside line. Couldn't quite get the pass done and dusted. Going to have to back it out. Wait into turn one. You don't want to take the dive there because it'll compromise your line on the way through as they make their way through. Ricardo Rivera also gaining a little bit of time, trying to make his way up through the order, is now battling it out with Sean Stratham, trying to chase him down. So all our drivers hoping that they can gain just a fraction more time at the moment to get a little bit more momentum towards the sharp end of the field, seeing who will be able to get to the top spot, who's going to score the most points here tonight as our drivers make their way around the track. Troy Dolenchik not having an easy time out there, maintaining a good gap. Luke Lucchesi trying to get back onto the Wolfgang Weiss as quick as possible. These two are going hammer and tongs, but for how long can they keep it all together? Luke Lucchesi is going to try look for the inside line, couldn't quite get it done, has to back out of it once again. Going to go early on the throttle, try and lift it as quick as he can, but just not able to get the pass done and dusted. Then we have got Ricardo Rivera all the way from Italy battling it out against Sean Stratham coming out from South Africa. So Sean Stratham is going to really put the pressure on Ricardo, hoping that he can get that pass done and dusted. But the Italian is not going to back down from any fight with the McLaren as he makes his way through. Troy Dolenchik leading out the run along with Wolfgang Weiss, once again losing out a little bit on the braking into turn one, but just able to stop dead on the apex, forcing Luke Lucchesi to come off the gas. So our drivers really having to work hard here, try and figure out what they're going to do. Luke Lucchesi not backing down from the fight. Wolfgang Weiss all over the show, bouncing curb to curb, trying to keep ahead of that Audi. So Wolf needs to figure it out. Ricardo battling out with Sean Stratham, and we do have a bit of a crash in the back. Let's go and take a look. This is Yaz Semai, and looks to be Luka Logovic, who had a bit of contact. The asymmetric driver into the side of Luka, tried going for the apex, the door closed. Unfortunately, that put both of them down the order. Not exactly what you want to be seeing in that little fight, but Luka's going to be containing a bit of damage, and so will the lights of Yaz Semai. Got a little bit impatient under braking, tried to look for the inside line, he tried putting his nose in. I can't say impatient. I mean, these drivers, they have to really go for a good pass around this track, which it does favor a little bit to follow the leader. And the drivers have been practicing a little bit towards the Indy 6 Hour happening this weekend. So they do have some practice, but those in the McLaren have a little less practice behind the steering wheel, as that only came out recently over the likes of the Lamborghini, the Porsche, the Audi, all going and getting a great time out there. But the McLaren 720S has been a phenomenal charger, with Sean Stratham chasing down Ricardo Rivera. Then right behind him, Jean van Rensburg at one point was leading the race. Niall Bullion going and closing up. He's in 7th position. 8th is Ryan Ottens, along with Paul Gerber in 9th. Renier Disler going and running in 10th. 11th, Peter Meyer, along with Florian Killen going and making up that little bit of time. Werner Swart in 13th, 14th is Luka Logovic. Mark Heron, Yaz Semai, who is carrying a bit of damage, now has Noah Hendricks all over the back of him. Noah Hendricks is going to look to try and capitalize as quick as possible. Then we've got Jeff Hancock running in 18th. 19th is Willem Buerta, who has got Alex Moore all over the back of him. Raymond Duggan trying to close up that gap. Yuri Umpi Swart in 22nd position. Jan Spalmers in 23rd, and 24th is the Jelleman Price making his way through. Only a couple of more corners to go as we do start to tick over. It will be 30 seconds when they come across the line, so there will be one more lap for Troy Dolenchik, Wolfgang Weiss, and Luke Lucchesi. So one more lap to go, and our top three now within 1.5 seconds of one another. Wolfgang right onto the back of Troy Dolenchik, tries to go for a bit of a pass, couldn't quite get it all hooked in, and we'll have to wait it out. Sean Stratham looking to go on the attack now, as he sees Ricardo Rivera going a little bit late under the brakes into turn 1. Couldn't quite get the power down early enough. That McLaren now looking a bit skittish on the way through. So Sean Stratham's going to really bottom out, trying to get underneath him. Unfortunately, looks like very, very close contact between the two of them, and that has allowed a bit of a concertina effect to take into play, and suddenly brings in John van Rensburg into the fray of things. So keep an eye on van Rensburg. He's going to try battle it out. Wolfgang Weiss all over the back of Troy Dolenchik, trying to force a mistake at this point. Troy hoping that he can carry a little bit more momentum on the way through. Really needs to step on the gas if he wants to try and hold this position. Comes back onto the Indies oval, then swings back into the inner circuit. Wolfgang Weiss trying to get him on the brakes, couldn't quite get it all sorted. Only a couple of corners to go. It's going to be 2 more corners of flat out, and I think Troy Dolenchik has done enough to hold first place. So Troy Dolenchik will come across the line, taking the first win of Season 2 Pro Division of the Raceface.Pro GT3 Sprint Race. Second place going to Wolfgang Weiss after a hard-fought battle. Then we have got Luke Lucchesi. Ricardo Rivera comes across the line in 4th. 5th place, Sean Stratham just ahead of Jean van Rensburg. Niall Bullion comes across in 7th. Ryan Ottens in 8th place ahead of Paul Gerber, and followed by Renier Dresner. I do apologize, Dresner. Peter Meyer in 11th. Florian Killer comes across the line in 12th. 13th, Werner Swart, Luka Logovic, Mark Heron, and Yaz Semai will come across in 16th. 17th, Noah Hendricks, Jeff Hancox. Then we've got Alex Moore. Willem Buerta will come across the line in 20th position, chased down by Raymond Duggan. And Raymond Duggan just keeping ahead of Yuri Umpi Swart as they come across the line. Jan Spalmers will be taking up the 23rd position, with Jelleman Price in 24th. Oh boy, wow, what a show, what excitement, and a great time out there. But all being said, only one could win, and that was Troy Dolenchik, who got the win over and done. So well done to them. So we're going to be moving over to our next of it, and that is going to be the likes of our warm-up, and we will be moving into Heat 2. So ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I hope you're enjoying it just as much as I am, because we have had an exciting run thus far. So let's take a look at the results so far. And there's going to be Troy Dolanchik out in first place, Wolfgang Weiss in second, Luke Lucchesi taking third place as he managed to get his way through, followed by Ricardo Rivera, Sean Stradham, Jean van Rensburg, Niall Bullion, Ryan Ottens, Paul Gerber, René Dresner, Peter Meyer, Florian Killer, Werner Swart, Luka Logovic, Mark Heron, Yas Amaya, Noah Hendricks, followed by Jeff Hancox going and rounding out. And taking a look a little bit further down, we have got Alex Moore, Willem Buerta, Raymond Duggan, Yuri Swart, Dion Spalmers, and Janneman Price rounding out our field after their race. Well, that was Heat 1 done and dusted, ladies and gentlemen, right here for round 1 of the Raceface.Pro GT3 iRacing Sprint Series here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. And this is also in preparation for the iRacing 6-hour endurance race. It's going to be multi-class racing here at Indianapolis this weekend. Lots of our drivers here tonight are going to be racing in it. This is the first round of our Raceface.Pro iRacing Sprint Series, and we will also have an IndyCar Series, believe it or not, coming up next week. So don't go anywhere. It's going to be an exciting one indeed. So as our warm-up continues and our drivers get themselves ready to go, we will be looking to battle it out and ensure that they can get into a monumental fight. What's going to happen, though, is anyone's game. Who's going to work it out at the end of it? So as our drivers get themselves all lined up, ready to rock and roll, trying to go through the running order, saying, okay, what do we need to do here? How are we going to gain that little bit more time? What's going to be the charging pace? Remember, maximum scoring is what we're going for. But we're going to go down to a little bit of an interesting time as our drivers make their way through. We saw Werner Swart just in shot going and running down through the gears. Werner Swart in the Ford Mustang out on track along with Willem Buerta and Paul Gerber making his way out onto the circuit for Team Tryhard just to warm themselves up, get ready to rock and roll. The excitement starting to build, and taking a look at our virtual grandstands. Lowbird 32, we have gone and restarted it about 9 times thus far to try and pull as many of the liveries as possible, and at the moment Trading Paints is sitting at 45% after everything. And Project JR going and putting in some support for likes of Sean and Niall have done very, very well. That agreed. The LNR team have really stepped it up to come into the fight, and we look forward to seeing more of the LNR, the logistical nightmare racing, to come and be a part of the season and be a part of the racing fun. That being said, folks, this is our sprint race for round 1. We just had Heat 1, and our drivers are now looking to set themselves up going into Heat 2. Who's going to be able to get the drive towards the line? Who's going to be able to push themselves out a little bit more? We'll have to find out very, very shortly. Our drivers are going to have to think what's going to be the main idea here, how they're going to gain a little bit more time, who's going to be able to stand up on the top of the running order. That is where it comes in. Our drivers will need to figure out how are they going to make their way to the top of the charts. Is it going to be a close run? Is it going to be who battles it out? Who's going to be able to step ahead of the rest of the field? I know many of the drivers are going to be looking to maximize their points here tonight, hoping that they can gain a little bit more time and ensure that they stay a step ahead over the competition. As said, not going to be an easy time for all our drivers, and we're going to have to see who will be able to put themselves towards the sharp end of the field and get them on the way through. So That being said, let's take a look at the championship, because that is also going to be a bit of an interesting one. So at current, we have got Troy Dolanchik on 75 points, Wolfgang Weiss on 69 points, Luke Lucchesi, Ricardo Rivera, Sean Stratham, Jean van Rensburg, Niall Bullion, Ryan Ottens, Paul Gerber, Rene Dresner, along with Peter Meyer, Florian Killer, Werner Swart, all trying to make up their bit of time. But let's go down to the grid as we're going to be getting ready for some racing. As it's going to be Sean Stratham up at the top of the charts, because we have our drivers ready to go. It does look like we have got SDK once again doing a fantastic thing of hanging. It's rather unfortunate. Try and restart it. Sean Stratham, Ricardo Rivera will be starting out first and second. Luke Lucchesi, Wolfgang Weiss will be looking to make his way up, along with Troy Dolanchik running in fifth. We've taken our top five, we have rotated them round, and now we've reversed the top five. Jean van Rensburg running in sixth place will be looking to gain a little bit more time. He's hoping that he can just get a little bit more pace underneath him this time round as our safety car makes their way out, and hoping that he can get a little bit more pace underneath him. As it looks like our timing software, unfortunately, once again, going and dropping off the bus. So, we'll do what we can. As we see Sean Stratham going to be starting out in first. Remember, he started in second place in the first heat, and then you have Ricardo Rivera, who was fighting out with him, battling it tooth and nail at this point, trying to make up some time. And then Wolfgang Weiss dealing with Luke Lucchesi is going to be a very interesting one. Troy Dolanchik, who's starting at the bottom five after winning the last round, last heat, will have to keep ahead of Jean van Rensburg, lying in sixth position. Niall Bullion in seventh, with Ryan Ottens going to be closing up that little bit more time. As our drivers make their way around, getting themselves all prepped and ready for the race. Sean Stratham will be looking to get the charge. Ricardo Rivera hoping that he can carry a little bit more momentum to him. Luke Lucchesi, Wolfgang Weiss lining himself up to get the jump on the rest of the field as they do a quick warm of the tires. Now, one thing that if you go through the patch notes for iRacing at the moment is that a full lap does allow you to get quite a bit of heat on the tires, but if you're doing a standing start, it would have heated up your tires for you, like almost you've been in blankets. So always a handy one. And it does look like Trading Paints is a bit iffy at this point for some other reason or another, sitting in 46% cable. So unfortunately, it does look like Trading Paints is giving a bit of hiccups here, there, and everywhere. We'll do our best to rectify and get things all sorted out. Sean Stratham, Ricardo Rivera lining up side by side, and Luke Lucchesi lining up in third as our safety car makes their way out onto the Indianapolis Motor Speedway Oval, and will be carving in. This is going to be a proper battle out towards the front. Keep an eye on the likes of Troy Dolanchik. He's going to have to make a serious climb up the order if he wants to stay within the fight. As they go side by side, they will get told that the safety car is going to be pulling into the pits very shortly, and then the pace goes to Sean Stratham to try and maintain and get going. Lights on, and wait for the lights to go off. Ricardo Rivera on the outside, the Italian looking to get the jump over Sean Stratham. Green flag, and we are racing with Sean Stratham getting the jump, holding that inside line. Ricardo Rivera trying to go and follow him through as they snap back and forth. And you can just see suddenly onto the brakes, Troy Dolanchik moving up through the order, tries to get the jump on Ricardo Rivera, who's dropped down behind Luke Lucchesi. Luke Lucchesi carrying a lot of momentum, but we do see a bit of carnage in the back. Unfortunately, a monster pile up in the back, and we see Troy Dolanchik putting Luke Lucchesi piggy in the middle. Ricardo Rivera going in for defense. And now Wolfgang Weiss getting the run through. He will try and close up the gap to Ricardo Rivera. Looks for the inside line. Going to go for it. Under braking. Try and get it all locked in. But just able to get the nose peered in. Not enough on the throttle though. Side by side with the McLaren. Ricardo not backing down from that fight. Really leaned on the door there and hoped that he could keep it going. That allowed Troy Dolenchik to come at him. Dolenchik up on the inside with the Lamborghini, looking to lunge for the inside line to get it all turned in. Does get it beautifully done. And now Jean van Rensburg getting a phenomenal drive. And all of a sudden, Ryan Ottens has come in. Oh, Jean van Rensburg over the curb, twisted around. The whole field taking evasive maneuvers there. And unfortunately, Jean van Rensburg down the order. So that's after getting a brilliant start, just not having the legs run through. So not a run that he would like to remember over there, but just getting jumped on the curb, and that was about all she wrote. So let's take a look back to the start. We saw Mark Heron part of that accident. So Mark Heron, all the way out from Scotland, trying to keep it all together, has a bit of a concertina effect, trying to brake as early as he can. Suddenly Jeff Hancock's across the nose of him, and that's turned the whole field round, having to take evasive maneuvers. So Jeff Hancock's was the first one to do that. It twisted them all around. Not ideal circumstances. So let's go on the roll bar. All looking good. Takes a look for the inside. Turns in a deep pass. And unfortunately, there's the contact. So that twisted them all the way through. So our drivers needing to gain a little bit more time. Hoping they can go and get a little bit more pace underneath them. And hoping that they can really get some drive to move their way up. Troy Dolenchik right onto the back of Ricardo Rivera, and he's pulling Wolfgang Weiss along for the ride as well. Ryan Otten's hanging in the back, and now Paul Herber going up on the inside of Luka Lugovic, with the likes of Niall Bouillon coming at him. So Niall doing everything he can. Niall going to go the country mile here to try and keep ahead of Florian Klenner and Peter Meyer onto the back of him. So let's see how this is going to go. Florian looking for the inside line. It's going to go side by side. The German against the South African. Can he get it all hooked in? Niall, unfortunately, just able to get the nose in ahead of Florian, and that has lost out the time. Immediately opens the door as we see Peter Meyer trying to capitalize on the problem. Looks to try and get past. Couldn't quite get it all hooked up. Yes, and Mike going to try and come back at him as quick as they can. So yes, and Mike really looking to book it in at the moment. Keeping on the tail, hoping that he can get a little bit more run. Goes around the outside, and Peter Meyer trying to also lean onto it, looking to try go 3 wide. Yes, and Mike actually stopping that from happening. Outbrakes himself though, has to snap out, just gets ahead, and Peter Meyer off into the side of the likes of Florian Killen. They were still able to get up and going. Noah Hendricks is now going to be tailing behind. He's hoping to close up the gap a little bit quicker than planned. So Noah Hendricks dealing with Alex Moore now, who's putting a huge amount of pressure up on the inside. Alex Moore going to try and carry the momentum. First time these two have ever done battle with one another. And it looks like Alex Moore is able to just get ahead. And now appears to go for the inside of Florian Killen. So getting a little bit greedy there, looking to try and get as many passes done as possible. As Florian says, no thank you, my Merc has got a lot more power than you. I'm going to try and straight line it. Yes, SMI trying to hold his ground. Carrying as many pace as possible. The SMI hoping that he can go for a little bit of defense towards the inside line. He's going to just break a fraction earlier. Tries to tip it in. Looks for the inside of Peter Meyer. Couldn't quite get it all booked in and loses out there. So let's go back up through the order though. As you see, Ryan Otten's battling against Wolfgang Weiss. He gets past him. Wolfgang trying to come back at him. Ricardo Rivera just ahead of them is battling out with Troy Dolenchik. So they are still giving it hammer and tongs at the moment, really trying to push themselves to the limit as they go. Ryan Otten's going and defending as much as possible as he makes his way through, making his return after a long time back in the seat. And Wolfgang Weiss, our new driver all the way from Austria, going and battling it out against South Africans, has really put himself on the map now. And along with Ricardo Rivera, the two of them have been properly leaning into the rest of the drivers. Great to see so many drivers still putting in a huge fight with one another, hoping to stand on top of the order. Paul Gerber keeping ahead of Luka Lugovic, who is busy with Niall right behind him, trying to battle it out. Peter Meyer lying in 10th position. But let's go through the running order as it stands, because we're going to be going into pit stop soon. And that is Sean Stradham ahead of Luke Lucchese. Troy Dolanchik running in 3rd, Ricardo Rivera, Ryan Ottens, Wolfgang Weiss, Paul Gerber, Luka Lugovic, Niall Bullion, Peter Meyer, Yaz Samai, Florin Kilner, along with Noah Hendricks, Alex Moore, Jan Sparmers, along with Yuri Swart, Raymond Duggan, Janneman Price trying to defend against Jean van Rensburg, who's going to try and look for the inside line. Jean van Rensburg being a little bit cautious. He's very worried about those sausage curbs. Willem Buerta chasing down behind as Jean van Rensburg does get the drive on Janneman Price, who does come across the nose, stopping him there and moves his way through. We do see Werner Swart has completed a pit stop, so he's gotten that done and dusted. So a couple of drivers getting that pit stop done and dusted, hoping that they can carry a little bit more time. The only one is Werner Swart that has done it on lap 3. Now, I do think that was for damage done to the front of the car, so he's having to really keep an eye out on it. Sean Stradham out in the front pack with Luke Lucchese trying to come at him. Luke Lucchese down the gears as quick as possible. Couldn't quite get it all, battling it out. But Luke Lucchese, the RDSA esports driver, hoping that he can carry more momentum through as he charges his way around. Needs to try and stand on the gas as much as possible as Luke Lucchese right into the toe. And we do see in the background Troy Dolanchik opening up the gap to the likes of Ricardo Rivera and Ryan Ottens, dealing with Wolfgang Weiss at the moment. So unfortunately, Luke Lucchese in a little bit of no man's land here. Not his usual contenders he's having to deal with, but Sean Stradham has really come out on a debut run to take it to our champion, Luke Lucchese, who has really stepped it to the front of the charts and now having to defend as we see the Mustang of Werner Swart just ahead. Going to be seeing these two very, very shortly in his mirrors and knowing that there's going to be a proper fight to them. Alex Moore going and looking for the inside of Noah Hendricks. This is another little good battle that's starting to build up as we do see Alex Moore blink out of existence, though not ideal circumstances there. It does make it very nerve-wracking for the likes of Noah Hendricks, who will have to keep an eye out on it. And you can see Yuri Swart trying to tail in as much as possible, hoping that he can stay in the mix. So Yuri Swart will be looking to gain a bit of time. Jan Sparmers running in 16th position, also onto the back of him. So let's go through the running order. Sean Stradham, Luke Lucchese, Troy Dolanchik in 3rd, Ricardo Rivera in 4th, Ryan Ottens in 5th, Wolfgang Weiss along with Paul Gerber as they make their way through. But we do see Luke Lucchese get ahead of Sean Stradham, who's actually pulled into the pits. So Sean Stradham into the pits, trying to serve his pit stop. Will lose out a couple of running order. Will he be the only one diving into the pits? That is the question that is going to be on everyone's mind. Has he taken an early gamble that everyone else has decided not going to be the case? Well, it does look like Janneman Price pulling into the pits, going and getting himself sorted out. So traveling down the order as they stumble their way through. Wolfgang Weiss onto the back of Ryan Ottens. Ryan trying to defend as much as possible. Looks to go for any sort of defense as possible. Trying to make his way around. Seeing Ricardo Rivera just ahead of him, but not able to get the legs underneath him to get that pass done and dusted. Ricardo Rivera just maintaining the gap and will be pushing as hard as he can. Ryan Ottens needs to go for a great defense at the moment. A previous champion in the world of Assetto Corsa Competizione here in Assetto Corsa here in Raceface.Pro, stuck in between two drivers he's never versed, and that is Ricardo Rivera and Wolfgang Weiss. He's never come across him here in Raceface, and these two are making their debut runs here at Raceface. Absolutely tremendous stuff to see how hard they're fighting. Paul Gerber in 6th place, Luka Lugovic running a little bit behind. Luka has been a bit of a newer veteran to the world of Raceface. He came in last season and really performed in that Chev. And now he's looking to really keep it going. Niall Bullion, part of the logistical nightmare, been here, part of the furniture at this point. Peter Meyer trying to close up that gap. Yaz Samai hoping that he can stay ahead of Florian Killer, who is one of the debut running Germans now coming into the fray of it. He's looking to close up the time as quick as possible, as we do see Jan Sparmers trying to line himself up. Yuri Swart, Noah Hendricks, and Jan Sparmers does look for the inside line. Can he carry the momentum through? He does back off a little bit, getting a bit of a fright from Noah Hendricks, who tried putting a little bit of a lean on him, put the squeeze on to just say, hey, listen, back out of here. This is not going to be your easy run. We're going to wait it out. We're going to keep it all together. But that, in turn, has created a bit of a tow of Raymond Duggan, John van Rensburg, and Willem Botha, unfortunately, spun out. Was part of that train. He's lost out of the drive. Jeff Hancock, though, is going to come around, dives up on the inside, sliding the Porsche through, and just getting it all hooked in. Not backing out of that fight. Dresner a little bit further down, and here we go. Mark Heron trying to make his way through. But first of those that have done the pit stops, Sean Stradham, Alex Moore, Janneman Price, and Werner Swart, all doing an early pit stop, hoping that that may be the trick to carry on the momentum. Ricardo Rivera, dealing with the likes of Ryan Ottens, Alpha Esports 1, is now trying to keep ahead of Wolfgang Weiss, who's not going to back down from this fight. Suddenly all onto the back of Ryan Ottens, and you can see that Ricardo's just ahead of him. Ryan Otten's going to go for a little bit of a crazy approach here. Side by side, heading into turn one. Can he carry the momentum through as he tries to get the car to go? A bit of understeer from the Ferrari, but just enough to get the pass done. Ricardo going to come back at him, but just can't get on the throttle, and that has allowed Wolfgang Weiss to take a look up on the inside. Wolfgang tried his luck there, but unfortunately just couldn't get it all sorted in. So Ricardo Rivera managing just to hold on. A couple more cars into the pits. Niall Bullion, Peter Meyer, Raymond Duggan, Jeff Hancock, and Willem Botha all into the pits, needing to serve that mandatory pit stop. They got to replace all 4 tires and get themselves racing once again. Ricardo Rivera dealing with Ryan Ottens now, just ahead of him. Ryan needs to really step on the gas if he wants to break away from Ricardo Rivera in that McLaren. He's going to have some serious straight line speed if he can hang on to the back of him. And then you don't count out Wolfgang Weiss, who has battled it out towards the sharp end of the field once before. He's not going to lose it once again as he sees Troy Dolenchik just a hair's breadth away in the distance and going, I need to catch up to him. That is my target. Luke Lucchese now into the pits as well. That is going to promote Troy Dolenchik up the order, as we do see a couple of cars coming out of pit lane, and they're going to come straight in front of the fighting pack for second place. But we're starting to see our top 15 going and needing to get into the pits, as we see Luke Lucchese, Paul Gerber, Yasamai, and Jans Palmers pulling into the pits as they make their way through. Oh, Willem Botha unfortunately losing it out on the exit, and that allowed a little bit of a lift from Ricardo Rivera, not wanting to get caught out in any problems, as suddenly Wolfgang Weiss deciding that he's going to keep on the throttle. So has likes of Ryan Ottens. He did not back down from the fight there. He opened up the gap quite considerably, so he was really determined that Willem Botha was not going to move. He was quite comfortable with it, putting a lot of trust into the drivers, as Wolfgang getting the pass done. Ricardo Rivera unfortunately outbraking himself into the corner, goes straight on and has lost the pack. So Ricardo Rivera has gone down and now has Luka Lukovic coming at him as quick as possible. Florian Killen trying to make up some time, taking a little bit too much of the dirt there. Will be going a bit of an off track and dealing with Yuri Umpi-Swart all over the back of him. Noah Hendricks dealing with Jean van Rensburg, and Van Rensburg is not going to back down. He's going to really put the pressure on to the back of Noah Hendricks, who's going to stretch it out wide, right to the wall, back in towards the infield, hard on the anchors, really trying to keep that car alive, swinging it around left and right, and it does look like Noah Hendricks decides he's going to get into the pits. The car not working out for him, he's losing out a bit of time, he's going to get into the pits. That is going to promote him up. So Luka Lukovic and Troy Dolenchik, along with Noah Hendricks, now into the pits, serving their pit stops, and where is that going to pop them out? Dresner trying to make his way through, will be gaining 3 positions on the way. Very close to the wall there, a little bit too exciting for Dresner. Along with Mark Heron, going to be carrying on the momentum, and Luke Lucchese will be going and making up a lot of time as well. Luke Lucchese is in a net first place if he can get past these drivers like Troy Dolenchik, Luka Lukovic, and Noah Hendricks on the way through. Got to really lay on the pain to try and get a pass, and he's getting chased down by Sean Stradham that wants to retake that first place. He's seen that the gap is starting to open and will be really laying into it now as they get past Noah Hendricks. They're getting past Luka, and Troy Dolenchik just coming out of the pits. We'll be seeing them getting by, going to back it down into turn 1. and rejoins right behind Sean Stratham. So Troy Dolenchik onto the back of Sean Stratham. Now Sean's got a bit of a problem. He's got a little bit of a warmer car compared to Troy Dolenchik, who just changed his tyres. But remember, Sean Stratham was an early pit stop, so he is on tyres that are far by their sell-by date at this point. Really trying to hang on and give it everything he's got as they battle it out for Heat 2 of the Raceface.Pro GT3 Sprint Series here on iRacing. Ryan Ottens, Wolfgang Weiss, and Ricardo Rivera all pulling into the pits, so they have gained a bit of time on one another and hoping that that's going to be enough. Sean Stratham really needs to stretch out his legs here as he looks to get a little bit on the climb. And we do see Florian Killer trying to make his way around. He's got Yuri Swad onto the back of him. And Yuri's not going to back down from this fight. He's going to really keep the pressure on and try and make his way through. Looks to the inside line. Couldn't quite get it done. And Yuri, hoping that he could just carry enough pressure. Florian going and ramping over the curb is going to suffer a lot of damage. He's going to suffer some damage to these under tray. And they do have Jeff Hancock's just ahead of him. Trying to go late on the brakes. That Merc is doing everything it can to just stay ahead. It hasn't got as much rotation as the McLaren, but it is a lumbering monster to get it all sorted out. Has been improved since its outing in when it first came through to iRacing. Did get BOP'd into the ground at one point. I mean, terribly BOP'd. It was the car not to have, but it looks like Florian Killer is not going to let it out. So Florian needs to try and keep it all together. They're going to the pits, and Yuri Pissoir following suit. Will Jean van Rensburg go into the pits? No, he's going to stick it out one lap longer. So van Rensburg going to stretch it out a little bit longer and hopes that he carries his way through a little bit more comfortable now that he's on an oval, considering his real world background is oval racing. This is where he knows how to line the car up. But now can he think about what needs to be done for the pit stop, because Luca Chiesi is going to be the one to keep an eye out for. Currently in a net first place. He has opened up the gap to Troy Dolenchik and Sean Stratham going and losing out that run there. So there was a bit of a pass gone on that we went and missed, and that was between the likes of Troy Dolenchik and Stratham. So a bit of a change up there, and Dolenchik not hanging around, looking to try and keep the momentum. He wants to try and break away as quick as possible from Sean Stratham as they make their way through. Let's actually see if we could go back a little bit and see how that pass was done. Lined up on the inside, dives into turn one, gets it all hooked in. Sean Stratham had nowhere to go on that one, and that was how the pass got done and dusted. Plain, simple, and by the textbook for Dolenchik to get it all done and dusted over Sean Stratham. Now it's all about battling it through, because Troy Dolenchik will be running in second place along with Sean Stratham running in third. So still keeping a good time there. Let's go back a little bit further as we do see YSMI onto the back of Raymond Duggan in the Chevrolet. So Raymond Duggan trying to keep it a little bit ahead with the likes of YSMI onto the back of him. Noah Hendricks also trying to get a little bit of drive, and Jan Sparmers is looking to keep onto the back. So Jan Sparmers, part of the Rad team, keeping onto the back of Noah Hendricks and YSMI. Noah Hendricks and YSMI are currently part of the Asymmetric Racing team, so they will be communicating with one another, trying to work out what's going to be the positive move here. Well, fellow Rad Racing of Raymond Duggan and Jan Sparmers will be going and communicating with one another, saying, okay, this is where we are in the fight, this is what we need to do to try and move our way up through the order. So, some great stuff there. Ryan Ottens battling it out. He's caught onto the back of Sean Stratham. He's pulling Wolfgang Weiss at the moment, who has tumbled down the order. So Wolfgang Weiss needs to really go and stretch those legs, as we see that he does set up the fastest lap time of the race with a 1:24. But can he carry that momentum just a little bit longer at the moment? Ricardo Rivera getting sucked into Peter Meyer, Luka Logovic, and the likes of Niles Bouillon trying to come back at him as quick as they can, as there's 10 minutes to go for the Raceface.Pro GT3 Sprint Series here on iRacing. And our top 10 currently stands as Jean van Rensburg, who's just pulled into the pits, so he's going to drop through the order. So first place will be moving on to Luke Leclerc at this point as he makes his way through. Oh, tank slapper on the way, trying to battle it out as he breaks away from Troy Dolenchik who is running in second place. Sean Stratham in third, dealing with Ryan Ottens and Wolfgang Weiss running in sixth. Ricardo Rivera running in seventh. Peter Meyer, Luca Logovic, and Niall Bullion running in that 10th position. 11th, Paul Gerber, followed by Uriam P. Swart, going and closing up some time. Florian Cleland, along with Raymond Duggan, Samai, Noah Hendricks, trying to keep onto the back of him. Jan Spalmers, Janneman Price, also hanging in there for the THT team. And Werner Swart in the lonely Mustang, the only Mustang out on the track tonight, looking to keep themselves going. Always fantastic to see as our drivers make their way. So, Werner Swart dealing with Alex Moore, along with Dresner in 21st, 22nd, Willem Buerta, Mark Heron, and Jeff Hancox, who's unfortunately, diving somewhere into oblivion with a Porsche, not having an easy time out there. New pedals given to him after who's the fault have given up the ghost and got a new set, just trying to get it set in. As you see Jean van Rensburg rejoining the circuit right ahead of Raymond Duggan and Samai, Noah Hendricks, and Jan Spalmer. So talk about coming into a bit of hot water as he sees in his mirrors. Oh, Raymond Duggan loses it. Raymond Duggan has lost it, and that caused Samai to just take a slight evasive maneuvers. That backed him off the throttle and allowed Noah Hendricks to get on the back of him. Now Jan Spalmers is looking to capitalize. So Noah Hendricks is going to go around the outside. Samai going to hold the inside line, goes late on the anchors. Noah Hendricks tried to move back, but was a little bit too close there. You could see a little bit uncertain of the gap between himself and Samai. Doesn't want to go into a bit of an interlocking situation. And Jan Spalmers looking to try and capitalize on that as quick as possible. So Noah Hendricks has got to be very, very cautious on his approach here. Yes, he's got his teammates ahead of him, but he can't slack off at this point because Jan Spalmers is going to try and battle him out. And then you have got the likes of Janneman Price, who will be hanging into the back of him. Janneman Price hoping that he can carry a little bit more momentum to try and stay into the mix here. Noah Hendricks dealing with the likes of Jan Spalmers, who's going to put a huge amount of pressure. Looks around the outside, switches back to the inside. Going to keep on the throttle. Will it be enough, though? It's going to be late on the anchors to try and get this all done and dusted. Jan Spalmers looks for the inside line into turn one. He's going to hit the brakes a little bit later. Can he get the nose in ahead? No, he actually second-guessed it. As Noah Hendricks went for a little bit of a cheeky dive onto his teammate, and that has run him down the order. Back up through the sharp end of the field, and this is battle out for third place as we see Sean Stratham dealing with Ryan Ottens. Been a while since these two have been on circuit with one another. Sean Stratham last saw Ryan Ottens in a Assetto Corsa Competizione over 2 years ago. The two went and fought it out here at Raceface, and over, I think it would be a year now, that Ryan Ottens went and made the transition over to iRacing from Assetto Corsa Competizione. He lands up on the inside though, tries to get the pass done and dusted, does get it beautifully done. Sean Stratham had nowhere to go and defend against that. Ryan Ottens carries some momentum, and that has also got Wolfgang Weiss trying to go around the outside and couldn't quite get it done. A little bit of a bump draft down the Indianapolis, but how is this going to work as we see Ricardo Rivera into the pits and Jeff Hancox was into the pits. Wolfgang Weiss trying to look up on the inside. Sean Stratham trying to battle it out side by side. They go. And Wolfgang not backing down from the fight. Looks to try and keep it all together. Around the outside. Gets it hooked in. And beautifully got the pass down and dusted. Sean Stratham from third. Now down into fifth place. He's going to try and recover a little bit of time though. As we do see Troy Dolenchik there was going a little bit slower up ahead. So Troy Dolenchik not having the easiest time out on the track. And starting to lose a bit of time to Ryan Ottens and Wolfgang Weiss at the moment, and they're bringing on Sean Stratham, who is really all over the back of him. Ricardo Rivera leaving the pits now, and he drops down the order. So whatever's gone on with those two, they've really dropped all the way down. Not ideal circumstances, but that means all our drivers thus far have done their pit stops, and Luke Lucchesi leads out the pack with Troy Dolenchik running in second place. Ryan Ottens is in third place with Wolfgang Weiss trying to make up some time. Sean Stratham, Peter Meyer, along with Luca Logovic, Niall Bullion, Paul Gerber, Uriam P. Swart going and battling him out. Florian Killer trying to go and close up that gap. John van Rensburg trying to make up some time. And then we've got the teammates of Samai and Noah Hendricks keeping the likes of Jan Sparmers at bay. Jelleman Price trying to close down the gap. Raymond Duggan along with Alex Moore onto the back of him. Werner Swart, Dresner running a little bit further behind in 20th position. Willem Buerta, Mark Heron, along with Ricardo Rivera and Jeff Hancock, who looks like he's retired the car. So Jeff Hancock has retired the car. He has gone and thrown his hat out of the ring and said, look, I'm done now. That's been my race. But let's take a look at the racing at hand, as we do see the likes of Noah Hendricks keeping Semi rather honest here. And that is allowing the likes of Jan Sparmers to stay in the mix. Jan Sparmers has got to try and break this chain. He's got to get in between them and ensure that this little travel stops. Otherwise, they're just towing each other along. And you're sitting in the back end trying to scratch your head at this point. Getting a lot of momentum, all sitting in the 296. Same as Noah Hendricks just ahead of him. So it doesn't have the top end power to beat it. They're quite equally matched. It just comes down to setup at this point to ensure that they can keep going. Mates on the anchors trying to swing it in a little bit by little as they really give it horns at this point. Noah Hendricks all over the back of his teammate yet again, saying, come on, we got to stretch out the gap here. This is not going to be an easy time. As Noah Hendricks gets a little bit of a tank slapper, as we do see Niall Bouillon pulls into the pits. Niall has entered pit lane. Did he underfuel? I think Niall underfueled and didn't expect the race to go on as long as it did. So that takes him way out of the fight, drops him out of that top 10, and really puts him down the order. So a bit of a late choice there, unfortunately. Going to hurt him in the long run. Yuri MP Swart trying to go on to the back of Paul Gerber. And Paul Gerber making his much anticipated return to the world of racing after taking a bit of a hiatus to look after his newly born child. And now going and supporting has Yuri MP Swart, who's looking to put another trophy on the board. But he's got to make up a lot of time. Lying in 8th place, gets the pass done and dusted. Lined up beautifully there. Florian Killen, unfortunately, tried lining up Jean van Rensburg. He spins out. And now we'll be trying to take a look as SMI comes by. Noah Hendricks, and so is Jan Sparmers. Janeman Price gets the pass done and dusted. And will be continuing a lot more the pace. So Killen needs to try and make his way through. Florian needs to get that little bit more pace underneath to try and stay in it as much as possible. Jan Sparmers really leaning on to the back of Noah Hendricks, trying to look for that pass to happen at this point. Noah Hendricks going very wide, a little bit of a touch on the grass there as he tries to keep it all together. Jan Sparmers getting the drive, goes up high, tries to carry it through, switches back to the inside line. Will he get in between the asymmetric drivers? This is going to be a late break for him. If he can get it all sorted, he's going to have to really climb onto the anchors as late as he can. 200-meter board, but just couldn't get it in. Noah Hendricks a little bit more together on the brakes. Goes in a little bit deep, compromises the drive, holds that inside line though. That forces Jan Sparmers to go around the outside onto the dirty stuff. And now Janeman Price will look to try and close up that gap as quick as possible. Looks for the inside line, looks to go around the outside, can't get it quite done. Two former teammates, might I add, Jan Sparmers and Janeman Price, have worked together in endurance races, now know each other rather well in their driving habits. So Janeman Price is going to try and look for a way around as we see Florian going very, very late on the brakes, trying to get a little bit more time. And Jan Sparmers gets it all booked in and passed. Noah Hendricks was a bit slow on the exit there, and he's slow once again. And that has allowed Janeman Price to close up on him. Janeman getting a bit of a tank slapper on the way through. So not ideal circumstances for likes of Noah Hendricks. Back up towards the sharp end of the field though, as we do see we're coming on to that last lap, folks, and Ryan Otten's currently holding 3rd place. Has got Wolfgang Weiss, who went a little bit late on the brakes. Sean Stradham going to get a little bit more momentum. The Audi R8 is going to have a lot more of a run now for Heat 2 of the Raceface.Pro GT3 iRacing Sprint Series. And you can see Sean Stradham not backing out of this fight. It's going to really hang into it. Got to really rely on the power that Audi can brake extremely late and without getting too unsettled. The Porsche requires a lot more leniency in terms of trail braking. But it is a very, very stable car if you could get it all hooked in and just right. As he just opens up the gap over the Audi, you can see a lot more stable, getting that nose to rotate in exactly where he needs it to be. And carries on that little bit more momentum as they absolutely floor it off the back. But Luke Lucchese making his way through. Couple of corners to go. We'll be looking to get yet another one here tonight, bringing home the double victory for the RDSA esports team. And Luke Lucchese comes across the line, taking the checkered flag. Troy Dolanczyk in second place. Ryan Ottens taking third here for the GT3s. Wolfgang Weiss coming in at fourth with Sean Stratham right on the back of him. 0.3 of a second as they come across the line. Peter Meyer into 6th position. Luka Logovic in 7th. 8th place, Yuri Swart along with Paul Herber. And Jean van Rensburg into the 10th position. Yes, Amai will finish across the line in 11th position. Jan Spalmers in 12th. Janneman Price just keeping ahead of Florian Killer along with Noor Hendricks. Alex Moore will be tailing behind in 16th. Raymond Duggan, Werner Swart, Rene Dresner, Willem Buerta, Mark Heron, Ricardo Rivera, and Niall Billon going and rounding out our field. Absolutely tremendous stuff. And Jeff Hancock's, unfortunately, our only retiree for the race. Niall, who went in underfueled, I would say, cost him a lot of time here for Heat 2. But the win has to go out towards Luke Lucchese, and there he is lining up next to in the IDSA car. You can see Ryan Ottens giving a bit of a well done. Paul Herber getting by. And all the drivers just congratulating one another. Troy Dolanczyk in the Lamborghini. Done an incredible job. Ryan Ottens, Luka Logovic also making his way through. Well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, that was an exciting race nonetheless. But we look forward to some plenty more action coming up next week. We're going to be having a chat to a couple of the drivers, though, after this phenomenal event. And let's see if we can bring them up. So let's quickly go back and take a look at some of the highlights of the race. Absolutely incredible, incredible racing from all our drivers out here tonight. And what a phenomenal charge it's been for all our drivers. Luke Lucchese, though, gets the double win here tonight, and that will be propelling him forward in the championship standings. And he's going to be smiling quite a huge smile by the end of this, because it has been a proper drive on his part to get it all hooked in. As we do wait for a couple of the drivers to come and join us here tonight in the commentary. We're hoping to get a few drivers to have a chat to after a phenomenal outing. And Luke Lucchese getting the ultimate win. So let's take a look at our results after that race, because was it a bit of an exciting one. Luke Lucchese getting the win with Troy Dolanczyk in second place. Ryan Ottens taking third along with Wolfgang Weiss, Sean Stratham, Peter Meyer, Luka Logovic, Yuri Swart, Paul Herber, Jean van Rensburg along with Yaz Samai in 10th. Yaz Samai in 11th. Jan Spalmers in 12th. Janneman Price in 13th. Florian Klenner is in 14th. Noor Hendricks, Alex Moore, Raymond Duggan, and Werner Swart going and running his way through. Just getting a bit of an interesting information out from our grandstands. And Sean Stratham driving with a hurt shoulder. So he managed to propel himself rather forward in that battle. Awesome stuff. Well done on their part to get it all sorted out and go that extra mile. That is for certain. So once again, do want to apologize to everyone for the timing mishaps that we've been experiencing. We'll try and get to the bottom of that before the next set of racing. Everything caving out right at the last minute. But exciting times were had, and all our drivers having a bit of fun out on the track. But let's take a look at our championship standings as a provisional championship standings here tonight. And let's take a look to where it all stands. It's going to be Troy Dolenchik on 144 points, ahead of Luke Lucchesi on 139 points, Wolfgang Weiss on 129. Then following Sean Stradham, Ryan Alton, Jean van Rensburg, Peter Meyer in 7th position, Paul Gerber in 8th, Luka Lugovic along with Ricardo Rivera, Florian Killer along with Yasamai, Niall Billion, Yuri Swart, René Dredner, Werner Swart, Noah Hendricks, Alex Moore going and running through. And a little bit further down, Jan Spalmers, Mark Heron, Janneman Press, Raymond Duggan, Willem Buerta, and Jeff Hancock's rounding out our field here tonight in terms of points. But all being said, some great racing had by all, great racing done by all, and also some very, very close racing. For round one of the Raceface.Pro GT3 iRacing Sprint Series here at Indianapolis, we say goodbye to Indianapolis, and next, in 2 weeks' time, we'll be heading over to Daytona, so do not miss that. But coming up this week as well, we do have our Wednesday, the final race for our PokerBet Raceface.Pro PokerBet GT3 Sprint Series out on a set of course competizione. It's round 8, and they will be having a bit of fun. Who's going to be walking away with 100,000 Rand cash prize and PokerBet credits? You're going to find out tomorrow night for our GT3 Sprint Series. Moving on to our Thursday night, Raceface.Pro PokerBet GT3 Championship out on the set of course competizione. 150,000 Rand on the line, given out by our title sponsor, PokerBet, and being the biggest sponsorship in sim racing history here in South Africa of cash prize and PokerBet credits will be handed out. Who's going to get the win there? Will Henry Mayer be the one to double up his wins, or you lose out to the rest of the field? We do have a driver that is waiting to come in, and we're going to bring in Troy Dolenchik. Awesome. Troy Dolenchik, welcome to the commentary box. Glad to have you here. And wow, oh wow, what a race it was had. I mean, let's talk about getting away in Heat 1, but Heat 2, a little bit more challenging. Take us through that.
Yeah, look, Heat 1 was actually more difficult than it looked. It was the guys were a lot closer to me than I expected in the race on race pace. So yeah, definitely didn't get away there. Just got lucky once or twice with a couple of little breaks, and it seemed like the Lambo struggled a little bit down the straight. So I was able to get out the corners quite nicely and sort of bridge that gap. And then as soon as the straights came, they closed that gap down again. So look, the Lambo was really nice on its tires. So yeah, I think that helped me in the first race. And then the second race, obviously the reverse grid was challenging. The first lap actually went quite nicely up until I think turn 3 or turn 4, where it was 3 wide, and then I had to get out of it a bit. And then that's sort of when Luke got away. But the pace was good, and I think I picked up 2 or 3 places after that. I think I fell down to about 5th or 6th, picked up about 2 or 3 places, and was lying about 3rd, I think. And then that's when the pit stop sort of came into play. And then once all the pit stops had actually worked out, I came back out in 3rd. And then I think it was Stradom that was in front of me. And then got him, and then the gap to Luke was sort of around about 3 seconds, and it came down to 2.5, and then went up back again to 3. So the pace of the cars are quite equal. Just how they actually use the pace and parts of the track is what actually counts. So yeah, it's good to see that at least the cars are quite even. The Lambo seemed a bit more difficult to drive. I was struggling out there. It felt like I was driving a 2-hour race in half an hour. So yeah, but really enjoyed it, and glad that the competition was close. Umpi had a bad quali, and that put him on the wrong foot for the whole both heats. So it would have been cool to have him in the front. He definitely would have been there if everything panned out properly in quali. But yeah, otherwise it was good.
Well, taking a look at the championship points, you still stand at the top on 144 points. Luke Lucchesi on 139. 2 weeks' time, we're heading over to Daytona, so yet another Roval circuit. Do you think that the lessons learned here at Indianapolis may carry over to Daytona in 2 weeks' time?
Well, I just hope it's the same in terms of the cars being quite equally balanced. But I think I need to take a couple of kicks of wing off, because I think the Lambo is struggling in the straight line, so I'll definitely struggle there a little bit. So we'll see what tuning I can do under the bonnet to sort that out. But I think the racing will be good at Daytona. The slip's always big there, so it keeps the guys nice and close. So yeah, and I think this situation with a mandatory tire stop, and you can do whatever you want with the fuel, is also cool, because it's limiting people from fuel saving. So you're sort of taking that factor out of the race, which is always cool to see. So it's pretty much flat out from the word go.
That's it. Top up the tank and just hang it out for 30 minutes of hardcore action. Well, a final question being had is, are you going to be participating in the iRacing 6 hour this weekend? where we're going to be seeing quite a few of the top teams taking on iRacing's first ever 6-hour multi-class GT3, LMP2, and LDMH. Are you going to be racing with the team out there?
I wish I was racing with a team, but every time we try and put something together, something and someone always fall through. So I won't be doing this one, but the special events like the 25 Le Mans and the Daytona 24, those are the special races, and we always try and get together a good group of 5 or 6 guys and do those. But these smaller 6-hour races we generally don't tend to do. They're generally a bit more a bit easier to do. So it's a group of 2 or 3 guys. Whereas when you're doing a race, a 24-hour of Le Mans or Daytona, when you have 5 or 6 guys, it's actually quite a cool and fun vibe. Where the 6 hours are a bit different and quite a bit more serious. Where the 24-hour is such a long race, you're not really caring too much about where you are at the point when you're actually in your stint. So you're just sort of enjoying it. But no, to answer your question, not doing the 6-hour. Would like to, but yeah, haven't got a team for that.
Fair enough. Well, Troy, well done once again. Great racing out there. And the floor is yours to address all our amazing petrol heads out there, and also our sponsor, Red Star Raceway and Scallywags Drift Academy, for sponsoring prizes that is to be announced coming in a little bit later. But the floor is yours, Troy Dolenchik.
Stephen, I think just like you said, just thanks to sponsors, they make it possible. The prize is always something cool to look at towards the end of the season, regardless of what they are. Always cool to see a prize towards the end of the season and something to work towards. But just well done to everybody, and thanks to everybody. Well done to Luke. He drove a really good race in the second heat. And just to my parents and my brother for always watching. Thanks. And forward to the next one.
Absolutely incredible stuff. Troy Dolenchik, thank you very much. And we look forward to seeing you coming in 2 weeks' time. And also next week with our IndyCar racing, the IR18. Always great to have a chat to many of our drivers. But ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, that does bring us to the end of our broadcast here at Raceface.Pro GT3 iRacing Sprint Series. And round 1 done and dusted. 2 weeks' time, we head out to Daytona for round 2. And next week, you just heard that we're going to be having a bit of fun in the IR18, the IndyCars, for some open wheel action. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, once again, thank you so much for joining us. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit that bell notification icon, and we will see you next time right here at Raceface.Pro tomorrow evening at 8:10 for the ACC Sprint Series, brought to you by Raceface and PokerBet. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, have a good one, enjoy, and like always, a good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, everybody.